Try again. You're live. Yes, I'm live. Need a little quality control over on the YouTube side of things. Make sure you can see me. I have to do something that I normally forget to do. Here we go. Try again. I have to change my 5G over to 2G because 5G is bad. It's also not really reliable in terms of the stream. Hey, what's going on out there? I apologize for taking the day off yesterday, but sometimes we have to do these things, right? We have to do them. Let me make sure I got my mic on over here. I should have it. See, yeah. Do we have any chatters? Any chatters in the chat room? Let's see what we got here. What's a log history? We're gonna get ramped up. Give me one moment, boys and girls. Having an issue with the volume and the audio today. It's not picking up. Wonder why. 1, 2, 3, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Judy, can you hear me okay? I'm having some technical difficulties. Beautiful. Thank you very much. I don't know what's going on the Spreaker side, but I'm not getting any levels on the Spreaker side. Maybe that's a sign. Hey, what's happening? Sorry, it's taking me just a bit here to get into the zone. I'm not even quite in the zone yet. A lot to talk about. Let's do a little house cleaning, little business here, little household business. So I got a comment on my YouTube channel, I believe yesterday, and the commenter said that I was shadow banning them on YouTube. Be clear here, I don't shadow ban anybody. I don't shadow ban anybody. If you have a comment, positive or negative, it gets left on my YouTube page. There are times when YouTube will leave comments for my approval. I don't always look at them. It's another folder in my life that I have to go in and look at. I don't always look at those comments. Maybe I'll go in there once every couple of weeks. So if your comment got moved into that folder by YouTube, it was not at my behest. I didn't say, YouTube, can you please shadow ban this person? No, it hasn't worked. Doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. You can leave whatever you want. I agree with you. I don't agree with you. As long as you're not absolutely outright and malicious and being cruel to other people, you can leave whatever you want. I am a proponent of free speech. And to say that I'm just like another SJW, well, no, I'm sorry. That's just not the case. Anyway, I just needed to get that out of the way because you just got to do these things every now and then. So as always, there's plenty going on now. Of course, we have a 24 to 48 hour news cycle around the Serena Williams insanity. Everybody gets to comment and weigh in on that. You know what's amazing about that is 2 weeks from now, we won't even be talking about it. We live in a time where things are just so accelerated and the theater of attention is so brief. So what we're trying to do, what people are trying to do is get maximum volume and maximum motion in a very short period of time because they know that very quickly there's going to be something else coming that will swallow up that event, and it'll be in the dustbin of history within roughly 48 to 72 hours. So when that occurs, people can't have a reasonable or measured or rational response because the impetus is to turn up the volume as loud as possible and get as much emotional amplification. That's the strategy now. It's all about noise. And everybody is competing to get above the noise level. And in order to do that, you have to really push it. You have to go 11 on the Spinal Tap amp. I, I love that movie, man. That movie is amazing. Totally amazing. Even somebody like Rob Reiner can actually make a good movie. I met Christopher Guest one time, who's one of the writers of This Is Spinal Tap. And a very, very nice guy. Very, very nice guy. Met him briefly, long time ago. He was on the phone with Jamie Lee Curtis at the time. I think they're still married. I don't keep up with the Hollywood scorecard. So I think we're about at the back end of the Serena Williams meltdown and temper tantrum. There's always Colin Kaepernick looming in the background. These guys who are these sports writers, like Peter King and Mike Florio, they're just clowns. They're demanding that Colin Kaepernick get a job with the Buffalo Bills. Have you seen Colin Kaepernick lately? Colin Kaepernick, I bet you Colin Kaepernick could even pass a drug test right now. And I'm not saying he's a heavy druggie. I'll bet you Colin Kaepernick likes to get high. And the last time I checked, New York was not a state that had decriminalized yet. But the NFL is in a real bind because a lot of guys get high. And every now and then they get one guy and they pluck him. What happens with the NFL is they let you know when the drug testing is coming. If you fail a drug test in the NFL, you are either really not paying attention or you have a self-destruct trip. So they let you know when it's coming, and they let the players know when it's coming. And when the players get wind of it, I think they have like a 5-day notice that they're going to be drug tested. Don't quote me on that. But I know they've got a significant amount of time so they can drink water, mask, do whatever they need to do in order to pass the drug test. And that's just not just for marijuana, Mary Jane. I mean, pro football players do steroids. It's the NFL's dirty little secret. They do steroids, and nobody ever talks about it. They want to talk about CTE. They want to talk about all these rule changes. Well, I'll tell you what, NFL, you get your players off steroids, and the impact and the collision speed and all that will go down. So instead of having a 260-pound linebacker who can run a 4.5 40, you take people off steroids. And that 260-pound linebacker is probably about a 230-pound linebacker and an outlier in terms of size. Offensive tackles who are, it's funny, you watch these guys who play tackle in the NFL, and they wind up losing about 50 to 60 pounds after they stop playing. That's all artificial, packed on weight through diet and better living through chemistry, and bad chemistry usually at that. Anyway, Colin Kaepernick, he looks, I remember Kaepernick when he was playing for the Niners. The guy was cut, he was buffed, he was a meat eater. Now he's a vegan. He's a vegan. He's probably hanging out with the Marleys. And these guys on TV, because they're so moved by their social justice, they're so deeply moved by their social justice that they have to politic for him. They have to be able to be his advocate, that they're not even looking at the situation clearly. And I think this is what gets to the crux of the matter. There's this idea that based on some inalienable right that somebody deserves a position that even though they may not be qualified for that position, the fact that in their mind that they deserve that position completely obliterates any kind of qualifications. I mean, this is where we get into quotas and people who are advanced and moved along because, well, that's what the program wants. That's what the program says. That's what the program inside people says. Move them along, advance it. It doesn't matter. They deserve a chance. Colin Kaepernick had a chance. He had a chance. Does he deserve another chance? He can dedicate himself. And what's really interesting is these guys this morning were talking about, well, we don't know. We don't know where Kaepernick is, or because nobody interviews him. Well, you are a media person. Why don't you bring Colin Kaepernick on your show? If you feel so strongly about him, bring him on as a guest. Ask him about playing in the NFL. And I guarantee you Kaepernick won't come on the show. Not only will he not come on the show, but if he did, he would say that he wouldn't be able to talk about it because the ongoing legal process with the NFL. Colin Kaepernick will win his suit against the NFL. He will win it. I guarantee you. Somebody somewhere, some judge will say that the NFL is colluded against Colin Kaepernick and he'll be awarded some outrageous sum, $50 million or something like that. And at that point, would a team then go out and sign him? Now, look, I'm going to be on the record here again, just to keep you up to speed. You may say, well, it's sports. It does really well. Sports has become infected with a certain mindset, that the SJW mindset has become this virus that has been spreading through sports. And you have these enlightened sportscasters who are banging that drum. Colin Kaepernick was brought into camp with the Seattle Seahawks. They did not sign him. I want you to look at that demographic. Seattle is an incredibly liberal city. This is a city that would embrace Colin Kaepernick. It's not like Colin Kaepernick playing in Dallas. It's Seattle. The owner of the Seahawks is Paul Allen, who is an incredibly liberal owner. He's the guy that has the Seattle music experience with Jimi Hendrix and all that stuff. He created that. Apparently, he's a very good guitar player. Seattle has one of the most player-friendly coaches in Pete Carroll. He's a rah-rah guy. He's also very into alternative thoughts. Pete Carroll's a 9/11 truther, although he won't be on the record with that anymore. But he would be open to Colin Kaepernick being there. They run a system that Colin Kaepernick would understand. It's called the RPO, run pass option. It was the ideal situation. Colin Kaepernick went to the Seattle Seahawks. He talked to them. He probably got on the field, probably weighed all of maybe 225 pounds, all 6'5" of them. They didn't sign him. You can't tell me that there was a better situation for Colin Kaepernick to be signed than that. But he'll win his case, and we'll celebrate the victims more and more and more. He'll become some kind of a martyr. Colin Kaepernick will wind up being the modern day equivalent of, I don't know, Martin Luther King or something like that. The problem with Kaepernick, he's not unintelligent. I think he had like a 34 on the Wonderlic, so he's a bright guy. Kaepernick's a bright young man. But his challenge is that he doesn't talk. He doesn't do interviews. Maybe he's writing a book. I don't know what his scene is right now. These guys just love to bang the drum. Speaking of banging the drum, what about the banging of the war drum? There's more and more information now coming out of Idlib, coming out of Syria, that they're getting ready to stage yet another chemical gas attack. How about that? So this is from RT Today. Filming of staged chemical attack in Syrian Idlib begins, Russian MOD. So it says here, this is on RT.com. You always got to be a little filtery with RT. Footage meant to serve as proof that the Syrian government has conducted a chemical weapons attack in Idlib, Syria, is to be handed to global news outlets by the end of Tuesday, the Russian military claims. So it's getting out there. It's preemptive. Look, I don't trust Russia. I don't trust Russia's role with Syria. I don't trust their role with Israel. I don't trust their role with the United States. I just don't trust them. I don't trust them in the same way that, say, liberals don't trust Russia. Let's put it that way. Several Middle East TV channels and a U.S. news channel have been sent to Jizr al-Shagur in Syria's Idlib governorate to produce the footage needed for the provocation. A statement by the Russian Center for Syrian Reconciliation said it added the intelligence came from local residents of Jizr al-Shagur. I like to say that, Jizr al-Shagur. All the footage of the staged provocation in Jizr al-Shagur is to be delivered to the newsrooms. Okay, we said that. It is also said that an Islamist group was provided with 2 canisters of chlorine-based chemical for the purpose of the operation. The Russian military said the footage would include scenes of white helmet operatives treating supposed victims of an apparent barrel bomb chemical attack by Damascus. Moscow has repeatedly warned that a false flag chemical attack was being prepared. We've been hearing about this for a week now, giving the U.S. and the Allies justification to attack the Syrian government. Senior U.S. officials have threatened Damascus with retaliation if it uses chemical weapons in Idlib, and even preemptively assigned the blame for any such attack to the government. So there we go. We are calling that out, perhaps changing the vector of what we call the event canon, by at the very least speaking to this. What a weird world we live in. Am I right? It's weird and getting weirder all the time. So now we get to look at these things preemptively. We have our own version of preemptive precog. And just by noticing it, we change the nature of that event. That's Heisenberg 101. By being a witness, you actually change the field of that event. That's what Heisenberg discovered, right? Yes, it's true. So we've got that going on. That's cooking on the back burner because we know with all this stuff that's out there, right? Oh, there's a chemical attack's coming. John Bolton, pound that fist, John Bolton, right? All this stuff is coming. It's out in the atmosphere and we deal with it. I mean, I believe that part of what this is about is also to continue to traumatize people at a low level. It's like in Silicon Valley, the big thing now is microdosing, just taking little bits of LSD so it can improve your mood and can make you productive and give you kind of greater interspatial awareness. Well, they microdose us on trauma. I think it's interesting that we have this juxtaposition as microdosing of LSD becomes sort of the new rage and kind of the new health trend. And the microdosing of trauma has already been out there. So we're microdosing on LSD to combat the microdosing of trauma. See how perfect the universe is? Everything. Balance in everything. Just when, if you think that your life sucks, don't worry. It'll all balance out at some point. Now, how long that takes, well, that's between you and the creator, the game overseer, director, the Most High. Then you'll it's in that time. It's called grace, by the way. That's when things change in your life. You move into a period of grace. God's loving grace. I talk about that. When you're in that field, man, you are untouchable. It's a great place to be. Hard to be if you got a lot of planets in Libra, right? Just trying to balance it out. Ooh, I'm in grace. I'm in grace. I'm in grace. I'm taking a little bit this way. I gotta get back this way. I gotta get back this way. I gotta be this way. Anyway, that may not be advanced astrology, but it's a little astrological joke for you. So we've got this piece in Syria. For the last time we had the airstrike in Syria, apparently what had happened was that there is a woman by the name of Rita Katz, and she's in New York. She was the person who was uploading the very early fake ISIS videos and all the fake beheadings with the plastic knives. Those videos were insulting to most people's intelligence. They're like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this is shot in a studio somewhere. I mean, come on. It's like a bad movie. But she dutifully uploaded that stuff from her place in New York City. Where does Rita Katz get these videos from? Wonder where. That's what she does, what she did. And she was the one who uploaded the information about the last chemical attack, which was immediately picked up by Facebook and immediately put into Donald Trump's news feed. DJT, get off of Facebook. They're programming you. He got programmed. They must have been river dancing in Facebook or at Facebook. Trump sees this. Apparently, he was on Air Force One. He sees this and he demands immediately to, I think, Mattis to nuke Syria. Apparently, that was the case, and apparently that did not happen. Well, we know it did. Maybe in an alternate reality, it did, but it didn't happen. But this is how the propaganda, the fake news, this is how it's spread. There are all these little operatives, all these little nodes out there that are pumping out fake shit. And what happened in Syria was fake. So they had to go through with something. They had to go through something, and the something that they went through with was they fired some rockets inside a building that apparently, all these globalists had a stake in, according to deep inside sources. And those same sources are now saying that there are going to be arrests. David Wilcock, who has been MIA, pulled himself out of circulation, but he'll never do it for too long. He had a big tweet. Let me see if I can find the tweet. I'll read it for you right here. Let's see what we got here. Let me get into this tweet. Okay. All right, so this is what Wilcock tweeted. 6 different insider sources, including Q, suggested we might be right on the verge of mass arrests happening. Finally, spy satellites were taken down in a stunning alliance move. This is an urgent, absolute, must-see, huge 3-part investigation. Of course, it's at Divine Cosmos, his website, which is where he's at now. So apparently the mass arrests are finally coming. David's track record is terrible. I'm not slamming David Wilcock. His track record, disclosure, all this stuff, terrible. None of it ever happens. What is the big day? Is it October 12th or something like that when everything is supposed to go down? I swear they should put that event on the books at Vegas. I think to make QAnon more interesting, I think they should tie it to Vegas, and they should have a whole betting line for QAnon, for the QAnon stuff to come true in real time. And have a certain date. It would almost be like betting on a sports team meets the futures or commodities market. Like by a certain time, if something happens, you put your money in on that, and it's all based on QAnon data. And if it happens during that time, you double your money. And if not, you lose your money. I think there could be a huge, huge potential for betting on or against QAnon. It could go either way. If you're dealing with the futures market, like the over or the under, well, I'll take the under. What's the under? Well, the under would be this doesn't happen by October 12th. You could bet on that. Somebody's missing out on a huge opportunity to turn QAnon into more than just a massive red pill awakening moment. It could be a cottage industry in terms of gambling and betting. I mean, why not? You can just see it, man. I've got 500. I got 5 large that those arrests are going to be made before October 12th. What odds are they giving you? I got 3-1 on it. 3-1 over at this bookie. I've got even odds. Even odds. Wow, maybe I should go over there, hedge my bet a little bit. This is what Randy Moggins. This was his reply to David's tweet. Desperate drama, co-opted, corrupted intelligence report. Wilcock lives up his own ass with his boy, Bucky Jordan Sather. Hand jobs all around. Randy is a master at the not so subtle retort. It's going to be interesting. Let's see what happens. Hey, look, I want to be proven wrong. I really want to be proven wrong. I would love to see it happen. I'm not sure how I would feel about the martial law that would take place afterwards. That's a whole other thing. But I would love to see it happen. I would have some schadenfreude. And I wouldn't care if people said, see, we told you so. We told you so. Q's real. Q's real. You see, great. I'd love it. Bring it. That's the case. And to clean the vermin up off the streets, fantastic. I have my doubts, though. It's kind of like one of those things. There's this religious overtone with Q, which we've talked about quite a bit. And it's kind of like you're a believer or you're not. And if you're a real believer, then you get to experience the fruits of salvation, which is that moment of mana in the future where these things do happen, they do occur, and everybody is together and one in this heavenly state of bliss, that all the fortitude, patience, and love, and the taking on the suffering and the slings and arrows of being considered a heretic or a fool, that it's all worth it. That there's a salvation point, and then you have this heavenly or divine experience, which is very much in alignment with Christianity and salvation. Which is I don't want to get into that. That's a much longer show, but it's the same thing with QAnon. You suffer the slings and arrows of persecution. Bill Maher or whomever, me. I am not dissing people that believe in QAnon. I don't call them sheep. This is not anything that has to do with them. I encourage their awakening. I encourage their research. I applaud it. I applaud it because that's where I was 25 years ago and have been constantly pumping out material in this vein since then, or well, at least really since around 2008, consistently. So I applaud it, absolutely. But there is that tether to the entity that is Q, whatever that is. And it's just me. I'm not. I don't buy in to the sort of mass level of consciousness, whatever that is. That's just never been me. I can't help it. That's the way it is. But I do applaud and encourage the awakening, and I do applaud and encourage being able to share information, and even at times, if you have to, transcend the source. I think that's important. If you can do that, then God bless you. No complaints here. No complaints here. So we'll see what happens. It's on the radar. It's definitely, and really clearly, Trump could use it. You know, Trump, and the United States. I was reading this piece about financial confidence in the country and the continued grind on Trump and the system. And because it's not just about Trump, there is a collective grind going on, and that grind has an impact on the confidence and the stability of the country overseas in terms of economy and so on, at least at a superficial level. You know, markets, even though they're controlled, they do tend towards levels of volatility, and it's based not necessarily on, let's say, what Donald Trump is saying, not saying, doing, or not doing. But if we could take things like machine learning and transpose machine learning into markets, because you know that's going on. Wall Street is being controlled by algorithms. You know, you just have those guys on the floor, you know, those guys, little jackets, they're gone. They're gone. They're replaced by these guys, right? Running algorithms on trades. And those algorithms are just happening so quickly in real time. So that kind of technology is in place with global markets and machine learning. So what happens if these global markets, you know, let's say it's a, I don't know, Deutsche Bank, or let's say it's Germany, and Germany has their own kind of internalized banking that links up with the Federal Reserve and the IMF and all that stuff. And they're actually using very, very sophisticated technology to understand sort of where things are moving, where trends are going. And they're looking at not what's coming out of Trump's mouth, but an array of disturbance in the country. And that factors into their economic modeling. And I'm sure it does. Then that's what we're having to deal with at a global level, on a global scale. It is not good. So it's not just the fact that people want to remove Trump at all costs 2 years out. It has to do with the fact that the overall confidence based on human perception and technological acumen, machine learning, is probably at a point of inversion. It's not good. So, you know, at some point, something's going to have to give. Either Trump's going to have to be removed, or the people that are trying to consistently put the pressure on Trump, starting off with Russiagate, nothing there. Now we've got the Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels thing, really nothing there. There's a lot of nothing. There's a lot of nothing with Trump. So yeah, he's a whole lot of nothing. But in terms of actually removing him from office, I don't think they have a leg to stand on, at least at this point. And they better hurry up. We got the midterms coming up. But I think it's more about perception. They say perception, is what 90% is perception, something along those lines. So if you're somebody who wants to see something resolved, you may you may want to have these mass arrests take place. I mean, I think it would be interesting, to be honest with you. Like, I think if that did happen, if it happened, it would just be martial law. We'd be in total lockdown, because people would fucking flip out. If these mass arrests are made, they would flip out, totally flip out. So you'd have to have martial law. It's just the way it is. You couldn't just, don't worry about it. It's okay. We just took these people out of circulation. We have these, these pieces of paper. We have these warrants. We can take them out of circulation. Don't worry, they'll be fine. They're in Guantanamo. We just did a build out. We're working together with Trump hotels to put together the next semi-austere wing of Guantanamo. So it's all good. It'd be Trump Guantanamo. Could you imagine the reaction? People will go fucking nuts, man. They just start burning shit down. I mean, they will burn down cities for teams that win Super Bowls. Think about that. A team wins the Super Bowl and they start burning things. Hey, great, let's burn cars. it's insane. What would happen if mass arrests were made? Well, I know the people on the right would be very happy. People on the left, not so happy. We're in a revolutionary phase. You can't deny. We cannot deny. If you deny the fact that we're in a revolutionary phase, you're not paying attention. You are not paying attention. This is the 101st anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution. It started last year on 11/9/2017. That was the 100th year anniversary of when a very small percentage of the population overthrew an entire nation. People look back on that revolution with such veneration. It's almost like, the second coming or the birth of a new universe, all that reverence. Well, we're in it now, and we have been. We have been for a while. If you don't think so, you're not paying attention. And I'm not paranoid. I'm not paranoid. I just see it the way it is. One of the things that I wanted to do as part of this new version of 15 Minutes of Flames, I wanted to talk about health just a little bit. And there was an article that I found that many of you are probably already quite hip to. And it has to do with, let me see if I can find it here. Bolton. Warning next Syrian strike, yes. It has to do with sweeteners. Let me go back here. Where was that? Okay, I found it. This is from Business Insider. Now, this is actually it sounds like a negative article, but it's actually a really interesting and enlightening article. So this is from Business Insider. And since we're in the month of Virgo, just coming out of that new moon, here's a little new moon Virgo information. The headline is, here's how much sugar is actually in some of the biggest drinks in the U.S. as Americans revolt against beverage giants pushing sugar-packed products. That is a very long headline. Back in the old days, when you had print, you had to get your headlines in for a certain number of characters. You'd never see a headline that big. The headline would be Americans flush sugar. Americans dump sugar. Something along those lines. Americans quit sugar. But now we get these headlines that are like 20 words. Anyway, I'll read on. Here's the bullet points. Americans are increasingly trying to cut sugar from their diets, ditching sugary sodas and frappuccinos. Some of those popular beverages in the United States contain more than 50 grams of sugar. The FDA's recommended maximum in a single bottle or can. So you get 50 grams a day, you get one can. That's it. One can, no more sugar after that. So if you want sugar, well, the FDA, who cares about the FDA? But it's giving you an idea. So here's how much sugar the most popular sodas, coffees, and teas actually contain. Here we go. If you get a 16-ounce Starbucks caramel Frappuccino Ariana Grande, you get 16 ounces of sugary goodness, 49 grams. 49 grams. And that's on the skinny side. Let's go to the next level. That same 16-ounce drink, or 16 ounces of a coffee drink at McDonald's, the McCafe Mocha, at 16 ounces, that's 52 grams of sugar. So you're screwed. You see, with the Starbucks, you still get 1 little gram of sugar after that. What would that be? One of those little, hard 25-cent gums you get out of the little gumball machine. That'd probably be it. 52 grams for the McCafe. Here we go. Do we have some Dunkin' Donuts people out there that like to sip a little Dunkin' Donuts coffee? How about the Dunkin' Donuts frozen coffee? 14 ounces, not 16, 14, 145 grams of sugar in the Dunkin' Donuts frozen coffee. So apparently Starbucks is desperately trying to come up with a Frappuccino with less sugar. They're testing it now. Sodas. You got some soda drinkers out there? Coke, Pepsi, and Cherry Coke. They're all in the same 39 grams for just a 12-ounce can of Coke, 41 grams for a 12-ounce can of Pepsi, for a can of Cherry Coke. That's 16 ounces, by the way. With a 16-ounce soda, well, those grams of sugar are spread out just a little bit more. How about non-cola soda? The Dr. Pepper to Mountain Dew. The grams range from 38 to 46. Those cans are all 12 ounces. The energy drinks. Yes. What a cocktail. Red Bull, which is 8 ounces, is 27 grams of sugar. And you think, well, it's only 27 grams. It's 8 ounces. If you were to double that and turn it into a 16-ounce energy drink, like, say, Monster, it would be 54 grams. And by the way, that's exactly what Monster has, 54 grams. And Rockstar has 60 grams of sugar, 16 ounces of sugar. And then finally, we drop into the teas. Pure Leaf iced tea, 18.5 ounces, gets you 42 grams of sugar. Arizona iced tea, 20 ounces, 52 grams of sugar. And there's something called GTs. I don't quite know what that is. I think it's it looks like one of these companies, kombucha. 8 ounces, 4 grams of sugar. 8 ounces, 4 grams of sugar. So that just gives you some idea about where and how much sugar are in the drinks that we consume. And there are people that consume these drinks in quantities. Like, it would not be inconceivable that somebody would drink a frozen coffee at 14 ounces from Dunkin' Donuts and then double down on a couple of Cokes during the day. So, as Americans do struggle with things like blood sugar and trying to keep it down, as we all march towards, this kind of pre-diabetic obesity. Not all of us, but a lot of people out there just are not aware of this. This is some very powerful awareness. And if you know somebody who is a sugar freak, you may want to alert them to this. You may want to find the book Sugar Blues and lovingly gift them with that book. Most of the times, people will not change until the change becomes both the need for it becomes imminent and drastic. And in most cases, they'll just go right to the doctor and they'll get whatever prescription drug because they feel like that's really going to be the thing. It's a lifestyle choice. It's what we put in our bodies. Hey, look who's here. He's got to get in on proceedings. It's Mr. Jasper. Hey, Jasper, say hi to everybody. Say hi to the world. Let me check in on the chat room, see what's going on in there. Yeah, Vegas, fantastic idea. Yeah, I think so. Let's bring in QAnon and betting. I think that's the winner idea of the week. All right, feels good to be back. I'll be back tomorrow, right at this time, 9 a.m. Central, and we're just going to keep on rolling. We had just a little bit of a hiccup yesterday, a little bit of a road bump, but certainly I always hope you enjoy these shows. And you know the drill. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to step on what's possible. For me and Jasper, have a really great day.